Alright, this video, I'm going to talk about my scary injury. So education for myself, education for my students, my supporters, followers, subscribers, education for me to be a better Sifu, a better teacher. So I don't really get injured often. But the most recent injury it's just that video that we made with the arm wrestling. I just posted that video, happened towards the end, and I heard and I felt my left elbow pop, and it was painful, not too painful, but painful enough where I could feel it, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I felt that I could shake it off and stretch it and massage it and all those things. But then I chat GPT'd it, and essentially I learned that it could be a lot more serious than I thought, which was kind of scary for me, because I don't even have health insurance or anything like that, and to go and get surgery for something is something that I definitely don't want to do. And put things in perspective for me to be more careful with what I do, and how I choose to challenge myself, and then also how I choose to teach, and what I promote and what I push, or encourage students to do as well. I mistakenly thought that doing arm wrestling would be relatively safe. I mistakenly thought that it'd be safer than sparring. Just a fun way to test your strength and all those things. But essentially, it's not as safe as I thought it was. And this happened not that long ago. A few months ago, with one of my students. His elbow popped during the arm wrestle, but I didn't think it was serious. I thought, just shake it off and all those things. And he didn't make it seem like he was in that much pain, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But when it happened to me, I was I was kind of worried, because, at that night, or that day, I kept doing stuff on it. I kept moving it, doing other stuff, and it just started to essentially kind of get worse. And then when I looked it up and how serious it could be, and these elbow injuries, then it really kind of got me worried of being more careful. And another one of my students in sparring, he actually tore his bicep, and he did have to get surgery, and he was on a cast for many months, and he couldn't move his arm. And that's scary stuff, because the thing is, we're not professional athletes like football players, basketball players, boxers, or these people getting paid all this money to compete, millions of dollars to compete. And when they get hurt, they still get paid. But here in this situation, we're not getting paid any money, and a lot of us are actually paying money to train. So we're essentially paying money and putting ourselves at risk at the same time. So there's got to be a smarter approach when it comes to something like arm wrestling. Right now, I'm kind of reluctant to even do it at all, because I'm not here on this earth to be an arm wrestler. I'm not a gymnast. I don't do flips and all those things, and I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a weightlifter. I do martial arts. So I think if I would have got hurt in sparring, it would have made more sense because that's what my passion is, and that's what I train in, that's what I study, that's what I aim to perfect. I want to get better at sparring. I want to perfect sparring. I want to get better at defense and countering and offense and just mastery so then I don't get hurt. But if the person I'm sparring with gets a little bit hurt, then that's a part of it. But, you know, this is what my passion is. It's not arm wrestling, it's not tug of war, it's not wrestling, it's not any of those like other competitions like that. I think a lot more safe would be challenges like pull-ups, where it's just just do as many as you can. You don't have to necessarily, you're not really like going head on with somebody else, or push-ups or maybe even bench press. But of course you get hurt doing bench press as well. But with this arm wrestle, I thought it was safe until this happened, and I'm like, you know what, like we shouldn't be focusing on this. We need to focus more on the martial art and our proficiency in sparring and things like that. I think it would be more acceptable for me, if the injury happened towards in sparring, because it's at least something that you want to continually improve on, and it is the passion. But also because I've been doing it for so long, I kind of have a better idea to know when to stop and things like that. But with the arm wrestling, you know, it can be pretty dangerous. So for one, I wanna like put that in perspective. Also, breaking the boards, it's fun to break it, but not if you get hurt. So sometimes, my knuckles end up getting bloody and things like that, and my knuckle starts hurting, and that ain't worth it either. Because it's not about breaking boards, it's not about breaking bricks. To me, it's about the sparring. That is the part that I want to perfect. I'm not here to break as many boards or bricks as possible. I'm not here to be the best arm wrestler. I'm not here to be the best bodybuilder or any of that. But as far as like safe competitions, I'm all for it. Safe demonstrations of strength, I'm all for it. But once you pretty much jeopardize your safety and risk yourself to potentially end up having to get surgery, that's where I have to draw the line and be like, no, I'm not going to do all that. So just this is a good learning experience for myself, and also, not just as a practitioner, but also as a Sifu, to be better at what I do, and to make sure that I lead the students in the right path and not get them distracted. We like to have fun, and especially when you get in a group of good people that want to challenge each other, it is fun, but sometimes you end up pushing yourself a little too hard, and at the end of the day, it's not worth getting seriously hurt over these things. And even when you spar, you gotta spar the right way so there are no serious injuries. I've trained a student who tore his ACL doing some jump kicks, and that was a very serious injury. My wife broke her ankle doing a sprint, and that was very serious, and I wish it didn't happen, but it did. She also broke her pinky recently, which is, terrible. And had a person break his thumb in the sparring, a terrible thing. And, it's just like, you try to prevent injuries, but sometimes they happen. But there's another thing. I shouldn't have done it because, like a few weeks ago, I sparred against the same person, and I hurt my elbow sparring just a little bit, and it wasn't at full strength. So I was trying to nurse it back to full strength by lifting light and not going too heavy. So I was like, it was weak already. But when we did the arm wrestle, I forgot about the weakness, and I just did it anyway. And then next thing you know, it gets injured pretty bad, and that's partly my fault of like forgetting that I had already had an injury. And then I see all these injuries from these basketball players, especially these big name basketball players. A lot of them are tearing their Achilles, tearing their ACLs, and these are serious injuries that life-changing injuries. And we're all getting older. I'm getting older too. And it's just like you have to be more careful. Things take longer to heal, and sometimes you evaluate your life situation, and you just end up figuring out, deciding that it's just not worth it. This part of the training might not be for you, and things like that. It also put me in perspective to understand that some people view sparring like that. They don't view it the way that I do, where it's like my life passion. They look at it as pointless as arm wrestling. It's like, what's the point? It's like, who cares about arm wrestling? Like it's not worth getting injured over. And I think there are a lot of people that look at sparring like that. It's like, it's not that important, it's not worth getting injured over, and I just rather just not do it, or I'd rather just be safe. And that perspective needs to be respected, because people have their own lives and their own priorities and their own interests and their own passions. So you can't force your passions onto somebody else, and then expect them to do what you think they should do or what you want them to do. So I think that there are a lot of people out there that view it that way, view sparring that way, that it's just not worth it. But for me, I think the sparring is worth it, but definitely not the arm wrestling. And with the breaking the boards, I'd rather break it with my palm rather than my fist, because it depends on my fist. Maybe my right hand could do it, but not my left. There's a knuckle on my left hand that's just sensitive, and there's pain there when I hit that part. So I know not to hit with my left hand with my closed fist, for the boards. So it's all the process of getting to know your body, what you could handle, what you can't. Just be honest with yourself. Be smart, especially if you don't have health insurance. You gotta train safe, train smart, and usually I stay safe, and I make good decisions and make the right decisions. But in this instance, it was not a good decision, and I want to learn from it and be better for the future, protect my safety, and do my best to protect the safety of my students as well. So that has been my learning experience, and I wanted to share it with all of you.